By 1958, Elizabeth Taylor had already seen more pain than most women twice her age. She was just 26, impossibly beautiful, internationally famous, and completely hollowed by grief. Her husband, Mike Todd, had been the light in a world that never let her rest. Loud, extravagant, full of life. He adored her, protected her, understood her. With him, she wasn't just a movie star, she was Elizabeth, his girl, his angel. He made her laugh, he made her feel safe, he made her believe, perhaps for the first time, that love could be more than survival. And then he was gone. His private plane, the one he named the Liz in her honor, fell from the sky in a fiery crash that killed everyone on board. Elizabeth was supposed to be with him. The only reason she wasn't was a terrible bout of the flu. As she lay feverish in bed, Mike had kissed her forehead and whispered, "I'll see you soon." She never saw him again. When she got the call, she collapsed. The grief was so deep, so brutal, it didn't feel like sadness. It felt like drowning. She didn't eat. She didn't speak. At times, she could barely breathe. All the diamonds in the world couldn't ease the ache in her chest. The man she loved, the one who made her feel real and steady in a world of illusion, had been ripped from her, violently, without warning, without goodbye. She buried him in Forest Park, Illinois. The funeral was small, private, unbearably still. Elizabeth stood in black, trembling, her arms wrapped tightly around herself as if holding her body together by force. She chose the flowers. She picked every word. She made sure his resting place was beautiful. She thought that was the end, and in time, she tried to move forward. But grief doesn't leave. It just sleeps, and then wakes again. In 1977, Elizabeth received a call that shattered her all over again. It came not long after she had visited Mike's grave, a place she thought was sacred, a quiet refuge where she could still feel close to the man she had loved so deeply and lost so tragically. The call brought unthinkable news. A visitor to the cemetery had noticed something disturbing. Mike's grave had been desecrated. His coffin, ripped open, discarded beside the burial site. The rubber bag that held his remains, all that was left after the devastating plane crash, was gone. When Mike died, his body had been burned beyond recognition, and yet investigators had managed to retrieve what little was left, remnants that Elizabeth held onto like fragile pieces of a shattered past. That someone could violate even those remains was a cruelty beyond comprehension. A few days later, the stolen bag was found nearby, discarded like trash. But for Elizabeth, nothing could undo the damage. The one place she believed was untouched by time or evil, the space where she could still whisper to him, cry for him, remember him, was no longer safe. It was as if she had lost him all over again. Elizabeth went on to live many lives after Mike, lives marked by more marriages, more heartbreaks, and more reinventions. Yet, the man who once dreamed so earnestly of marrying her, the one who made her feel seen, adored, and protected, remained etched in her heart forever. Even decades later, she spoke of him with a tenderness that time couldn't dull. In interviews, her voice would soften at the mention of his name. Biographers wrote of him not just as a chapter in her life, but as a presence that lingered in the background of all that came after. And still, fans and admirers wonder if fate had been kinder, if the sky hadn't stolen him away in a fiery crash, would Mike Todd have been her forever husband? The answer lies somewhere between the life she lived and the life she never got to finish with him.